Hello and welcome to She Rises. This is a podcast for Christian women who love God but are tired of living in survival mode and want more than another promise of peace. Here, we explore foundations, identity, and biblical worldview, learning how to rebuild wisely so our lives and homes are shaped by truth rather than reaction and steadiness rather than strain. I'm Joanne Hewlett, and I'm so glad you're here. Now, over the past few weeks, we've been talking about foundations, about what holds when pressure comes, about the subtle ways we brace, manage, react, and overfunction without always recognizing it. And if you've been listening, honestly, there may be a quiet fear underneath it all. A thought that says, if some of my footing isn't as steady as I thought, have I built badly? Or have I wasted years? Have I done damage? That fear is understandable. When you begin to notice cracks or strain in a structure, it can feel overwhelming. There is a temptation either to rush into frantic self-improvement or to retreat entirely and hope nothing else gets exposed. But neither panic nor denial is the way Christ forms his people. He is not a demolition contractor. He's a patient builder. When we were working on the old house in France, there were moments when sections had to be stripped right back, plaster removed, old wiring exposed. It would have been easy to look at those moments and think, this is worse than we imagined. But in reality, the exposure was not condemnation, it was preparation. You cannot reinforce what you refuse to uncover. And God does not reveal unstable ground in order to shame you. He reveals it because he intends to strengthen it. There is a significant difference between destruction and renovation. Destruction leaves you standing in rubble. Renovation, though, sometimes dusty and inconvenient, leaves you with something stronger than before. Hebrews speaks of receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. That is not language of fragility. It is language of permanence. But permanence is not rushed into existence. It is formed. The Christian life is not a sprint towards cosmetic improvement. It's a steady shaping into something that holds under weight. One of the most countercultural truths about spiritual maturity is that it grows slowly. We are accustomed to immediate feedback and visible progress. We like habits we can track, goals we can tick off, measurable change. Foundation work rarely offers that satisfaction. When you choose not to react sharply in a familiar moment, no one applauds. When you resist overfunctioning and allow someone else to grow through discomfort, there is no public recognition. When you sit quietly before responding rather than defending yourself immediately, the world does not notice, but heaven does. Those small acts of obedience deepen the ground beneath your feet. Jesus did not promise a storm-free life. He promised that those who hear and practice his words will remain standing when storms come. Standing is not dramatic, it's simply steady, it's simply standing, and steadiness is often the result of very ordinary, repeated choices. Now, if you're realizing that some of your reactions have been shaped more by survival than by formation, it doesn't mean you're late. It doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're becoming aware. Awareness isn't weakness. It's actually the beginning of wisdom. God is not surprised by your patterns. He's not exasperated by the time it's taken you to see them. He's patient because his aim is not speed, but depth. We are far often harsher with ourselves than he is. There is a tenderness in the way that God builds. He doesn't reinforce every wall at once. He works layer by layer, offers strengthening what you cannot see before adjusting what others can. And that should bring relief because it means you're not responsible for reconstructing your entire inner life in a week. You're responsible for the next obedient step. Survival braces against what might happen. Maturity trusts the one who already knows. There is a loosening that begins when you recognize that you do not have to manage everything in order to remain secure. You are held in a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Your steadiness does not originate in your efficiency. It originates in Christ. That truth, absorbed slowly and consistently, changes the feel of the whole house. not overnight, but genuinely. Now, if this series has felt exposing but also hopeful, Rise and Restore exists precisely for this kind of slow strengthening. It's not a crash course in fixing yourself. It's a guided space where we work through identity, alignment, and obedience in a steady, practical way, reinforcing what holds rather than chasing quick change. And if you sense that you would benefit from walking this out with structure and support, you can find the details in the show notes. And if now is not the time, stay with the series. Foundation work can begin wherever you are. This week's gentle nudge is this. Instead of correcting every reaction immediately, choose one small area to reinforce quietly. It might be pausing before answering. It might be allowing a moment of discomfort without rushing to smooth it or fix it. It might be entrusting an outcome to God rather than managing it all yourself. Think small, think steady. Reinforcement is rarely dramatic. Next week, we'll be looking at something slightly firmer again, the difference between intensity and maturity and why they're not the same thing. Until next time, live steadily, think deeply, and keep building wisely.